Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sportscast. I am your host, Stephen Avalos, alongside my dad
Hello.
and my good friend, Marissa Dorr.
Hi.
And today we're just going to go over a few, some quick news about, Giannis and last night's Monday Night Football game. That was really nice. And then our picks of the week.
Now, nice in what way? It was a good game, or not because you didn't have Baltimore? I know.
I didn't have Baltimore, but it was entertaining.
Okay.
It
Okay.
was really entertaining. So I might as well just go into that now. So yeah. Me and Mercer were pulling in for Cleveland. Raider fans should have been pulling in for Cleveland too for any playoff hopes. Of course, in the
Yeah,
end
I
they
know.
still need to win, but you still have that in the back of your mind when watching this game.
Well, knowing the way the Raiders are playing, there was no way in how they're making the playoffs.
Yeah, but you still got to look at that though.
No, I know.
Okay, but either way, this was a really entertaining game, especially in the second half where these teams just went back and forth. Cleveland was in a 14-point deficit and then came back in and took the lead in the fourth quarter. Then miraculously,
Superman, I think they were calling him.
yeah, Lamar Jackson left the game with cramps. So, some people had some jokes about that.
Munstro?
Related
Is that what you're saying?
with the number two, but
Poop.
Yeah.
okay.
Poop
But-
might have been involved.
But he had cramps and he left the game, and McSorley had to come in. And the moment McSorley gets hurt, you see Lamar Jackson swooping in, like, okay, I'm here to save the day, and that's exactly what he did. He throws a touchdown on 4th and 5 when people expected a run. He played him perfectly. Cleveland then tied the game again with a pass to Kareem Hunt.
Scored in, I think, less than a minute.
Yeah, and so it was way too. Both teams made the mistake of giving the other ones too much time, and unfortunately, Baltimore had the best chance as they had the ball last. Really,
Yeah, but as a player, you're not going to say, "Well, let's take more time to score." We don't want to get them because if you have an opportunity to score, you take it. You don't. So I can understand what the mindset is, but it turned out the last team that had the ball scored and won.
yeah. And Tucker, he is the best kicker right now in the NFL. He is amazing. He is money. And yeah, so if you're a Raider fan that really still has hope for their playoff chances, I don't think they'll make it, but I generally don't think they'll make it. I think the Raiders could win 2 out of 3 at best, so that would already disqualify them right there. And they still need Baltimore to lose another game, and for the rest of the season they got Jacksonville, New York. It doesn't matter which New York it is, but it is the Giants, and then Cincinnati. So I just don't see Baltimore losing any of those games. Even like with the Giants, they've been somewhat respectable over the last month, but I don't think they have a chance against Baltimore, especially with how much better they played last week. I think that's going to be a real big spark for them. But then on to some other news. Giannis Antetokounmpo, he got a really big deal, 5 years, $228 million. That's the supermax extension.
I put him on him.
That you and I kind of had some speculation on, like, oh, is there a chance that he can still go to the Warriors? Well, we haven't talked about it in a while because I think we started to realize, like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And just like really did bury any of those chances, nail in the coffin.
Yeah, no go.
Yeah, but what, the Warriors can still be pretty good in general. I think this season I think they could be a decent team, around 40 wins, which hopefully would be enough to make the playoffs.
The NBA Pacific Division stacked.
Yeah, although Houston is going to be on decline, especially with Harden if he ends up being traded, because then all they'll pretty much have is John Wall.
Yeah,
So that might make things a little easier,
he'll stay the 1 year, I think.
perhaps. We'll see. We'll find out.
He's got one more year on his contract.
Yeah, but he really does want to leave, though.
Oh well.
The thing is, in the NBA, the players have gotten a lot more of what they want. I think that's one thing that we can notice compared to other leagues. It's a player-friendly league. And then some other
The
news.
NBA is a money-friendly league.
Well, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But Marissa, you did have some other news. Would you like to bring that up?
Right. So last night, or I guess just yesterday, the Cleveland Indians announced that they will be changing their name. They will be removing Indians from the name, and they're gonna decide what they're gonna call themselves at a later time. but I think this is a long time coming for them, and I think it was a good decision. What do you guys think?
I think it's a good decision as well. It's a time for teams to change their things. Just be a little more appropriate. I know a lot of people get sick of that. The whole being PC and all, but there's a difference between being considerate and also just like in ignorance. And this is a move to be more considerate. What do you think, Dad?
Well, what team's going to go next? Are the Braves going to change their name, or is everybody thinking about?
Removing the tomahawk chop, possibly.
Yeah, I think honestly, if the Braves just removed the tomahawk from their uniform, they could probably stay as the Braves. I don't know.
Do they do that this year?
No, the Cleveland removed Chief Wahoo. That was his name, right? They removed him from their hats. So they were starting to make this move. I don't know. I guess another team we would have to look at is the Chiefs.
Yeah, and they also do the same thing as well. They do the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
And then should it move on to college as well? Because like Florida State,
the Seminoles.
Yeah, they have the same thing too, and they also have the tradition where they put the spear into the ground and all that.
And Stanford Cardinals used to be known as the Indians, probably about 15 years ago.
Yeah,
maybe longer than that. So they were one of the first teams to actually go PC, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, what do you guys think about when people like kind of criticize these moves, or like, oh, it's not that big of a deal to have that, or there's always going to be the crowd that doesn't like it.
Oh yeah, it's like the crowd that don't believe in wearing masks is for safety. Basically, the same thing. Ignorance.
Yeah. Well, I think it's a good move overall. I don't see a problem with it. I am curious on what their new name is going to be. Hopefully, it's not as disastrous as it was for Washington, where they just go by the football team.
Everybody's making jokes about that right away. So.
Yeah, and that also was because a guy I think it was a lawyer or something that he trademarked a lot of the names that were going to be the list of suggestions that they had was leaked. He just trademarked them all.
Yeah, it was hoping to make a quick buck.
And they didn't bite on it. But yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. So anyways, that's pretty much our little rundown right there. We're gonna go into our picks now. So to summarize, last week I went 10-6 straight up and 9-7 against the spread. I think Atlanta and I believe Cleveland and Kansas City for not doing better against the spread, but I digress.
Yes,
Marissa went 10-6 straight up, but 6-10 against the spread. Dad, you went 11-5 straight up and 6-10 against the spread. So this brings our totals to me being 136, 71, and 1 straight up, 101, 105, and 2 against the spread. Marissa is 123 and 68 and 1 straight up, 90, 101, and 1 against the spread. Dad, you are 127, 80 and 1 straight up, 108, 98 and 2 against the spread. And now we will go into our picks for week 15.
And starting week 15, we have the Raiders at Chargers.
No, wait, actually, it's the other way. I made a mistake on that one. So it's
you don't make mistakes.
Chargers are against the Raiders in Vegas.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so that's the only one I think I made a mistake on. But yeah, so Raiders are.
And if you did make another mistake, we'll just pretend you didn't.
Okay. But anyways, Raiders are at home again for the second straight week, part of their 3-game stint at home. So last week,
let's talk about it.
Yes. So
well, let me get this out of the way first. The Chargers are getting 3.5 points. The Raiders are 7-6. Chargers are 4-9.
Yeah. So now to get into this game, so the defense they were awful in every way possible. They couldn't stop the run. Whenever they passed it on third down, and usually there's a lot of third and long situations, they just cannot do anything about it. They did whatever they wanted to, and they because of that, it led to Paul Gunther, the defensive coordinator, getting fired. Which that was my silver lining at least. I literally started jumping in the air when I figured after they did that. I was so happy because his game was just so awful for this team. He always put people in such bad situations. Having Nevin Lawson, the worst corner on our team, defend their best wide receiver at times. And then also just like the way they play soft zone coverage all the time, especially against the run. When they run the ball on, soft zone is not going to stop them because you're literally just playing laid back. You know, a lot of it, and it is a really complicated system too. And you're doing this with most players who are in their first or second year. So it's just, you know,
Well, I actually don't put that as on Gunther as much as I do the Raider organization. He hasn't he hasn't gotten better as a defensive coach.
oh no, I also put it on the
He
Gruden as
should have
well. He
never
should have.
been in this situation. They should have got rid of him a year ago.
Now that is something I do have against Gruden too. You know, he should have gotten rid of him after 2019, and even in well early into this year. You know, there's so many games that were just like red flags for him, and just a lot of things that were inexcusable that they did. But you know, he's gone now. It's a long-term decision. Rod Marinelli is in, and you know he just had his first press conference today as the defensive coordinator, and already I like him so much more. Just the way he talks about it, you know, he wants to make things simpler. He says these guys need to tackle better. They need to be more aggressive. Like just the fact that and he sounds confident too. That was the thing with Gunther is he never came off as confident. Like he would even say in weeks like, "Oh, I don't know how these guys are going to be ready." Like he just showed little to no confidence in this team. But you know that's what Gunther is not. That's what Gunther Marinelli is doing now. You know he shows confidence. He looks like a guy that can whip them into shape, and I really hope he can do that. You know I don't expect things to be like drastically different. Like, I don't expect the Raiders to be suddenly become an elite defense right now, but I expect with a simpler scheme now, there will be some improvements made.
You it was really the difficult schemes they were having problems with.
What?
I thought they just had they didn't execute it at all.
I know, but yeah, there's a bad execution as well, but they're also not being put in good positions as well. You know, as I explained, why would you put your corner on their best receiver at times, and why are you putting Mullen in zone coverage when he's not a zone coverage guy? He likes to play press, and they don't play press often. So you know, there's a lot of that. I just really did not think Gunther was a good guy. You know, he was so difficult to feel confident about as he never radiated confidence to this team. But Marinelli already does right now. But anyways, besides that, when it comes to the offense, they had a pretty good start to the game. But they did flicker in and out every now and then, especially in the red zone. They just had trouble securing touchdowns. You know, they had 2 field goals in the red zone and interception, that was just a really great catch by the guy. Like, that's something you just don't see coming.
Yeah, well, in Indianapolis, they were going down the field with like no one's even
Yeah, and
guarding them.
and on that, I think the Raiders should have taken a few more risks. Like on the fourth, when they were on 4th and goal, they should have gone for it more because that says you trust the defense, and you can't have trust in that defense right now.
Yeah, Raiders have given up 40 points for the 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Inexcusable.
And they did that a lot in the previous 2 years. Again, another reason why Gunther should have been released long ago. And there's plenty of players who have been bad too. Eric Harris, he was awful. He had 5 missed tackles. Abram, he was awful in pass coverage.
And stupid personal
Fouls
fouls on him. For I don't know how many personal fouls he has. I'd have to guess 5 to 10 personal fouls.
That's a big margin right there.
Yeah.
I'd say maybe 5 at most. But anyways, it was a really ugly game. But one thing I just still find funny is how people still are headhunting Carr. Believe me, it's not like Carr had a great game. I think it was decent. And you still got to say that this is a good defense he went against either. Dude, Colts have a really good defense. They have, like, especially in fantasy terms, they have one of the best defenses in the league. And he did what he could at times. And I checked the film too. Whenever they were in the red zone, lots of the receivers, they were covered really well. So there wasn't a whole lot he could do there. I wish he ran the ball more. That's one thing I would say is I wish he tried to run it a little bit more. He did have a rushing touchdown, but that was too little, too late. I should have done some more audibles to try to incorporate some more runs, but the run game wasn't doing well either. Jacobs only had 49 yards.
You know what running game was doing well?
The Colts. Yeah.
Over 200 yards. Again, against the Raider team, the Raider defense, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. But now onto this game, they're going.
Who do you like, Steven?
I'm going to go with the Raiders on this one already, just because the Chargers are just that much worse in so many ways. They should have done well They did win against the Atlanta Falcons, but that was just more of like, they were just trading back the game. It's like, no, you take the win. No, you take the win. Right? No, I'll let you have it. They're both teams of chokers, and basically instead of it's whoever gets the ball last. It's no, like it's whoever chokes last. That was how it came down to who wins.
And who you got covered?
I got the Raiders covering it as well.
Not what I see here.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, he's talking the Raiders all this time. Oh, but what did you write down? Chargers.
I still have them winning though.
Okay.
But I have the Raiders winning. I think it was 2.5. I would have had
3.5
the Raiders,
points.
but I could see this as being a game that the Raiders win. I get the last minute with a field goal. I could just see it coming down to that. The Chargers.
So you have a vision.
Not a vision.
Are they speaking to you?
Yeah. Those speaking.
Jeez, I really regret saying that. But no, I think Carr should have a good game. But one issue they will have, though, is Henry Ruggs was put on the COVID list as of today. And, even though he doesn't have a lot of targets or yards, he was really good as a decoy because he helped stretch the field to open things up underneath for Darren Waller and Nelson Aguilar. But even then, I think this can be a good time for Bryan Edwards to get more targets. He really hasn't gotten the ball much. He's been injured too, but I really think he should be getting the ball more, especially this week. Nelson Aguilar, I think he'll have a great game. I picked him up in a few fantasy leagues. And then Darren Waller, he should still have a really good game. Chargers don't really have that good of a defense. Their pass rush, I'll give them credit. They're pretty good. So, the offensive line is going to be top notch this week. But Herbert has been regressing this year, in the last 4 weeks.
Chargers don't have a good defense, but they shut down Atlanta pretty good.
Yeah, but Atlanta also didn't have Julio Jones, and Matt Ryan he's another person that's really regressed too, especially if he doesn't have Julio Jones. He is not good. He sucks without Julio Jones.
One man does not make or break a team.
But apparently it does for Matt Ryan. The stats show that he does not do well.
Let the stats show. Okay, Marissa, who do you like?
So, the Chargers defensively, they're not good. Their offense is okay, I guess. And with the Raiders and their defensive troubles, I think this game is going to be pretty high scoring. I'm going to go with the Raiders to win and cover, but I do want to say that the Raiders offense, they need to do a better job of catching passes because I saw a few during the game that were right in guys' hands and they just slipped right out.
But isn't that Carr's fault though?
It is Carr's fault. Yeah,
I blame Carr. He should have.
He should tell them catch the ball.
And he should be playing defense too.
He should coach as well.
Yeah.
Well, the pregame ritual of rubbing butter on their gloves, they got to stop that.
Yeah.
That's Car's fault.
Why don't they just clone him into 53 people to play every position? But I always talk about how I find some of the Carr slander to be really ridiculous. How people they really want a new quarterback, and I explained it last week. But who are you gonna get? Who is actually gonna be in the market, or in the organization, or on the draft class that we know can be better? Because the fans want to win now, right? Isn't that what the fans want? Because they're tired of losing. But there's no quarterback I see right now that can help them win now. And Carr's the one that...
You know as well as I do, the Raiders are going to keep Carr.
Yeah.
So who gives a crap what the fans think?
Yeah. But I just wish that some were more level-headed. But again, it's mainly Twitter. I feel like, talking about social media here, I feel like when it comes to opinions, Instagram, just like the people I follow on Instagram, they have so their opinions are much better than the ones on Twitter because there's so many fanatics on both sides on Twitter.
Drop Twitter.
That's why it's Twitter.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm not dropping Twitter. It's still kind of entertaining to see people say stupid things.
Okay, we got Raider, I'm saying Raiders both ways. Next, we have Buffalo at Denver. Denver is getting 6.5 points. Buffalo is 10-3. Denver is 5-8.
So Drew Lock had a good game for once. That's one thing we can definitely take note of. He actually, I think, was one of the highest scoring quarterbacks in fantasy this week.
They did play against Carolina though.
Yeah, and also this stopped his streak of interceptions. I think ever since week 1, when he started the whole game, he has had at least one interception, and he's finally stopped that streak. And if I'm a Broncos fan, I think the fear that
Are you a Broncos fan?
no,
Okay.
but if I was, I think the one thing that would make me scared about this game was that, oh God, does this mean Elway is going to keep him now? Like I think he does deserve a little bit more time because you got to consider like how this year has been really crazy for every team. So I will give him some more time. Players still need time to develop. You can't just pull the plug on someone so soon, even though it is his second year. He didn't start all of last year either, and he still had to deal with an injury this year too. But he still, though, I don't think he's that great of a quarterback. And Elway, for being a great quarterback himself in his days, he has a really hard time finding other ones. The only one he found was Peyton Manning, but he was already, Peyton Manning by the time they got him. He was already going to be in the Hall of Fame. So it just seems like the Broncos really just have a hard time developing players. But, I say give Drew Lock another chance. But either way, though, he's going against a good Buffalo's defense and an even better, I think, offense. Josh Allen has really made a good comeback here. And, he did have some bad moments for a couple weeks during the season, but he's really played so great this year. I think he's even been playing better than Kyler Murray because he's been a little bit more consistent than Murray has been.
About Kyler Murray isn't even on the same page as
Allen.
Yeah. So yeah, not even on the same. Yeah.
But I really do like what the Buffalo Bills are doing. Stephon Diggs has been really good for them. I really had no idea how those two were going to work out. With Allen having a history of being inaccurate, and Diggs, he has had some not I want to say scholars, just arguments with his quarterbacks before, mainly Kirk Cousins. But I'm gonna go with Buffalo to win and cover on this one. Buffalo is just a clearly superior team. Marissa?
Yeah, I have the same thing here. I'm very impressed with how Josh Allen has come back and started to do really well again. So, yeah.
Clean sweep. I got Buffalo as well. Next we have Carolina at Green Bay. Green Bay is giving up 8.5 points. Carolina is 4-9. Green Bay is 10-3.
So what do you got? I'm already gonna have to go with Green Bay on this one. Even though it is 8.5 points, Carolina has really been regressing throughout the whole season. I remember thinking like, man, this team could be pretty good.
We're not having McCaffrey for half the season as well.
Yeah,
I think he's doubtful again for this game.
Yeah, he's listed as doubtful right now. He was limited today, but they still don't think he.
I would if I was them, I wouldn't rush him back. Meanwhile.
Yeah, and it just shows how dangerous it could be to pay a running back. Because you see so many running backs get big contracts and then they get hurt. Their skills just falter really quickly. It's just like running backs have short lifespans in the NFL. That's talk about the Raiders here. They're pretty nervous about Josh Jacobs. Like when his contract comes up, it's like, man, do you really want to sign him to a big deal? But either way, enough about running backs. Aaron Rodgers, I think, is going to be the front runner for MVP, even in front of Patrick Mahomes. Mainly because of how Mahomes did last week. But Rodgers has been so good this year, and even though it was against Detroit, he just, Cal.
Yeah, go Bears.
Go Bears. But anyways, I think the Packers are going to win and cover this one, especially since Carolina, just like I said, they've just really have gotten worse and worse this year.
Yeah, Green Bay is gonna win. I don't know. I have Carolina covering though, so we'll see about that.
This game, I was also going to go with Green Bay to win and cover, and I definitely second guessed myself on this one. There's a 8.5 point spread, and I was originally going to go with Carolina, but I changed it to Green Bay. Next, we have San Francisco at Dallas. Dallas is getting 3 points. San Francisco is 5-8. Dallas is 4-9.
So both these teams have really been disappointing this year. And both like pretty much with injuries. Dak Prescott for Dallas and pretty much almost everyone for San Francisco. But I do believe in San Francisco for this week. They are a clearly better team. They have a better defense. And you got to consider, even though they didn't score a lot of points last week, but they were also going against Washington, who has been really good on defense, especially their front seven. They have a scary front seven. I think now, I thought the Giants were going to win the division. Now I think it's definitely going to be Washington here. But either way, Washington I think could be a really scary team if they win the division to go against in the playoffs, mainly just because of their defense alone. They might be able to stop most offenses. But either way, though, I'm going to go with San Francisco to win this game here, mainly because they still have a decent
Jumping on the
defense.
bandwagon.
Hmm.
You gonna get rid of all your Raider stuff and wear the red and gold?
They're still here in California.
Yeah, huh?
I just said I'm going with them this week.
Okay.
Please. I still
Okay.
want the Raiders too. But either way, though, Dallas, they did win against Cincinnati, but their defense definitely played a lot better. But you got to consider it's going against Cincinnati, who doesn't have Joe Burrow for the rest of the year, and they don't have an offensive line. It was a gimme win for Dallas there, and I expect San Francisco to win this one against Dallas. They've been really disappointing, especially with Ezekiel Elliott, who I thought was going to run over Cincinnati, but he didn't.
He's getting up there.
Again, running backs,
Running
they have
backs,
such short lifespans. They can be so good for the first 3 or 4 years, and then
But
just
let's talk to the biggest Niner fan that I know of. Marissa's surely got to be going with the Niners this week.
I can't pick them. They look so
What?
they look so sad to me. They just look defeated. Oh, okay. Thank you. I do believe Jimmy G was out of practice today, and Kyle Shanahan announced that he doesn't actually know what he's gonna do quarterback wise on Sunday. So that already, how can you feel confident in a team? I don't know. I can't pick them. They just look defeated, and I think at this there are playoff chances because for some reason the announcers were saying they still had a chance to make the playoffs. That's pretty much done. So I think they just need to try to stay healthy and just get through the end of the year. So Dallas wins for me.
And I got actually I flipped a coin on this one because I didn't know what to go with. I went with I ended up getting San Francisco on both the winning and covering.
Yeah, I got San Francisco all the way too.
Yeah, you got Chicago at Minnesota. Minnesota is giving up 3 points. Chicago is 6-7. Minnesota is 6-7. The battle of the 6-7s.
Yeah, so this one here, I'm starting to get a little bit more faith in Chicago. Their offense has been performing a lot better in the last 2 weeks. They still make their mistakes every now and then, but they've been a lot better. And then their defense is still playing pretty well. They really did a good job against Deshaun Watson, although you got to consider his lack of weapons at this time of the year. Brandon Cooks getting hurt and Will Fuller being out, being suspended for the rest of the year. And then Minnesota, they just haven't been that good. I really counted on them to cover this week, but they couldn't do that because of their kicker Dan Bailey missed, I believe, 3 field goals and an extra point. He also almost screwed things up the week before that against Jacksonville. He just really is not a good kicker, and it's probably also just really mental for him right now too. It's probably only going to get worse, and so I'm just going to go Chicago to win and cover. Marissa?
Yeah, I have the same thing. Chicago, I guess, looks to be the better team this week.
Well, I just minutes ago changed my pick. I did have Chicago winning and covering. I just changed it to Minnesota, Chicago. Because just like I did with the last game with San Francisco, Minnesota, you can flip a coin with them every week. You never know who you're going to get, and I'm going to pick Minnesota to win. We got Tampa Bay and Atlanta. Atlanta is getting 6 points. Tampa Bay is 8-5. Atlanta's 4-9.
I'm going to already say I'm going with Tampa Bay all the way. I was really tempted to go with Atlanta on this one to cover at least, mainly because of how ineffective Tampa Bay's offense has been at times. Just Brady is really showing his age more and more as the season goes on. With no matter how many targets he can throw to, he just really looks inaccurate and out of sync. But then Atlanta, they have had a pretty good defense, but their offense is also really slowed down a bit too. And so I'm just going to go with Tampa Bay to win it all the way. I think, what I think is going to come down to is just Atlanta's going to be really ineffective on offense, And Tampa Bay still has a really good defense, so I think they're going to get a lot of turnovers, and that's why I think Tampa Bay can win by a touchdown or more.
So if you're not gonna pick it, I will. Tampa Bay win, Atlanta cover.
And I'm going with Tampa Bay winning, Atlanta covering. So had you switched to Atlanta covering, it would have been we would all would have had the same pick, but it's okay.
We need some variety.
We have Jacksonville at Baltimore next. Baltimore is giving up 13.5 points to the lowly 1-12 Jags. Baltimore is 8-5.
All right, so this one is an easy one right here. I'm gonna go with Baltimore all the way. Jacksonville is just awful right now. You know, they've been able to compete.
But they're going with Minshew.
They're gonna they've had some games where they compete, but I just really do not believe in them this week. Baltimore has been playing with a really good defense and offense. I just expect them to dominate this week against Jacksonville, who just they suck. That's all I have to say. Is it?
Yeah, Baltimore. They're definitely gonna win, but I don't know. The spread's too big for me, so I have Jacksonville covering.
And Marissa, may I say, it was my thinking exactly. I have Baltimore and Jacksonville covering.
And I have Baltimore covering as well.
You get Jacksonville getting Minshew back, the mustache man.
I would really hate if you were like covering sports and and people had to hear you pronounce their names. That players would not like you.
Like me calling you Stefan? Is that pronouncing your name okay?
Just get on with it.
Okay. We have Detroit at Tennessee. Tennessee is giving up 10.5 points. Detroit is 5-8. Tennessee 9-4.
So Tennessee, they've been really good. You know, they had a bit of a skid earlier in the season, but they've really improved from there. Derrick Henry, he knows when to play well. He's been really good, and I know you love him because you have it. Both of you love him because
Thank you, Henry.
You have him in at least one of your leagues. So
speaking of leagues, I've lost 8 weeks in a row.
I advanced in one of them in one of my playoff rounds.
The semifinals are this week, so I'm nervous.
Yeah. You had a bye week, so you didn't have to worry about anything until now.
You know who doesn't have to worry about playoffs?
Well, we don't have playoffs.
This guy.
In the family league.
Yeah, I don't have to worry about anything.
Oh, we're against each other in
Yes. I think you're favored in that, or it's only but yeah. I think or I'm favored.
No, I'm favored.
No, I'm favored.
I don't know how.
Yeah, I didn't make it in my Yahoo league. That league was just really bad. You know, I had so much bad luck in that league. I drafted Kenyon Drake and Ezekiel Elliott. I had too many issues in that league. Then for ESPN, the playoffs are different in that one. It's only 4 teams that make it, but they're 2-week rounds, which is really interesting. So there's that. But I'm winning by 20 after the first week. So you know, I just can't lose by over 20 this week around. And then in my 3 normal leagues, in the big league, I'm in the semifinals as well. Hopefully, we see each other in the final. Family league, we're tied on that one. Whoever wins will take the lead. Mm-hmm. But you do have the lead right now, though, because you have scored more than I have.
I think we're up against each other in that one too this week. Just for normal play.
And then, actually, no, it's 4 leagues in that one, I think, because then there's the other one with a couple of friends where I play against you as well in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah. And then one more where it's just a random NFL generated league. I am in the playoffs for that one. I'm the 2nd seed going against the 3rd in the semifinals.
And let's get back to the Detroit, Tennessee. By the way,
Hi, Tennessee. How's it going?
Yes.
But either way, you know, we're talking about Henry. That's how we got into all this. I'm just gonna go with Tennessee to win and cover Detroit. I don't think they're gonna do too well. They've looked okay with the new coach, but I just don't expect much from them. They put up a good fight, but if Matthew Stafford is really hurt, then I just don't have much faith in them to even cover. So Tennessee wins and covers, especially with the running game. It takes if Henry keeps playing well, then I totally think that they can dominate the time of possession. So yeah.
Yeah, I have the same thing here. Tennessee win and cover.
and it's clean sweep. Tennessee for everybody. We have New England at Miami. Miami is giving up 2.5 points. New England is 6-7. Miami's 8-5.
All right, so I'm gonna go with Miami on this one. New England was just embarrassing last week against the Rams. Of course, you got to consider the Rams have a really good defense, but so does Miami. They have a really good defense as well. You saw what they did with the Patrick Mahomes. Even though they did lose, they kept that game close, and they made him throw 3 interceptions. That's more than what he threw all year. And so that's really kind of interesting too, though. But all 5 of his interceptions have been to only 2 teams,
The Raiders.
and the Dolphins.
Yeah.
And New England, I don't think their defense is going to do too well. Tua showed a lot of improvement this week. That's one thing that we got to give him credit for. He did really well.
I give him credit for nothing.
Okay. They will be a bit short-handed on offense, I think, because I know Devontae Parker and Mike Gesicki are hurt. They both had to leave their games early, but I think it doesn't seem too bad for them at the moment. At least it's worse for Gesicki right now. But I will be going for Miami to win and cover on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Miami to win and cover here. I'm pretty impressed with them overall. I was really happy that they covered last week. So
Very genuine.
yeah, I really like Tua. They're in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how well they'll do there, but hopefully they'll do okay. I'll root for them.
And I'm going with Miami and New England to cover. Next, we have Seattle at Washington.
This is gonna be a good challenge here.
Yeah. Let me finish. Bronco Billy. Washington is getting 5.5 points. Seattle is 9-4. Washington is 6-7.
All right, so as I was saying, this is gonna be a really good challenge for the Seattle Seahawks offense. They had a good bounce back game. But it was against the Jets, though. Washington has a really good defense right now. I still think that Seattle's a better team overall, though, because their defense has been making some strides ever since they got Carlos Dunlap. They have been pretty okay, I would say. But one issue I do have, though, is Washington's defense is really good. I mentioned it earlier, and I think Washington will be able to cover in this one. I think they can force Wilson to make some mistakes, especially since Wilson holds the ball a lot. I know he doesn't hold it for long because that's Baker Mayfield, but Wilson does hold it for a long time, and if the Washington pass rush is doing well, that can really disrupt him. But I just don't think it will be enough, especially because Washington's offense isn't great right now. So I'm going to go with Seattle to win, but Washington to cover. Marissa?
Yeah, Washington. I don't know. They're running on adrenaline, I guess. I mean, I knew that they were probably gonna beat the Niners. Their offense, yeah, like you said, isn't great. I really liked watching Chase Young for them. He did really well against the Niners. So I'm actually gonna go with Washington to win here. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bold one. I think Washington can definitely make this a close one. That's why I got them covering, but I was thinking it'd be close enough.
I have Seattle winning, Washington covering.
All right.
We have Houston at Indianapolis. Indianapolis is giving up 7 points. Houston is 4-9, and on the opposite end, Indianapolis is 9-4.
So the first time around, it came down to Deshaun Watson fumbling the ball at the 2-yard line from the snap. But I think it'll be a much different story here because like I said earlier, talking about Chicago, Houston's weapons are more depleted right now. The running game might have a chance to do something. I don't really know. I just don't have a lot of faith. I think Indianapolis is going to be really good on defense again, and their offense is going to be better, especially with how much Jonathan Taylor has been used now. He seems like the number one guy at the moment, because they are a bit wishy-washy on who they give more time to, but it really looks like it's leaning towards Jonathan Taylor. So I'm going to have Indianapolis win and cover on this one, even though it's a 7-point spread.
Yeah, I have the same thing here.
And I'm going with Indianapolis winning, Houston covering. I think late in the third quarter, J.J. Watts is going to take down Philip Rivers and ending his career.
Oh,
Oh,
that's gruesome.
It's a bold prediction.
It's a grim, bold prediction. But next one now.
Next on the agenda, we have Philadelphia at Arizona. Arizona's given up 6.5 points. Philadelphia's 4-8-1. Arizona's 7-6, dropping like stones.
So I'm gonna go with Arizona to win this one here. What you call it? Mainly because they did show some good improvement, especially on offense against the Giants, who do have a pretty good defense. Although, you could say that they got a lot more opportunities because of how just bad the offense was. They really didn't do much, but they did get the job done. Hopkins did scored a lot for me in fantasy, so I'm really happy about that. Woo! Philadelphia, they had a really nice upset over the Saints, which no one saw coming. Jalen Hurts has really put a big spark for this team, but I just don't know if that's sustainable. Now teams will have film to study for him, so there's that, and I think Philadelphia can make this a really close game, but I'm going to go with Arizona to win it just because I think they are the better team here. But it's going to come down to coaching as well. You got to let Kyler Murray do his thing. You got to let him run the ball more. Just let him be him. let the ball fly. But yeah, Arizona wins. Philadelphia covers.
yeah. I think Hurts really gave Philadelphia the shot in the arm they needed, and they really surprised me last week. So I don't think they're gonna win, but I do think they're gonna cover, like Steven said. So Arizona wins, Philadelphia covers.
Well, I think the Philadelphia quarterback is going to put a Hurts on Arizona this week, and I see the upset, Philadelphia winning and covering. We have the Jets at the Rams. Rams are giving up 17 points. Yes, you heard it right. 17 points. New York Jets still winless at 0-13. Rams are 9-4.
I definitely believe in the Rams winning and covering this one. They've been on a really good roll as of late, and like I said, they're just playing really well. They got a really good shot in the playoffs. They're really well balanced. That's one thing that you could say. Goff, he hasn't had a great year, but it's been enough so far, and their defense is so dominant right now, and it's really helping them get wins. And the Jets, they're the Jets. They're gonna be on another step closer to 0-16, which is getting even more clear right now. So yeah, Rams win and cover.
I've pretty much given up on the Jets. I don't think they're gonna win now. Um,
Should have done that earlier.
they could have beat the Raiders. They almost beat the
But they
Raiders,
did it.
but they
Shoulda,
almost
coulda.
did.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
But the spread is too big for me. I can't go with the Rams covering. So Rams win, Jets cover.
Oh, you have a change of heart here. Did you want to stay with that? You want your Jets to go to cover?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Jets.
I have the same
Jets right
thing,
now.
actually. I have the Rams winning, but
Sucker.
17 is a lot, and I'm going with the Jets to cover. Next, we have KC at New Orleans. New Orleans is getting points with 3. KC is 12-1. New Orleans is 10-3.
So Casey's they definitely have something to fight for right now because now they're pretty much even. I think they're even with the. No, they're not even. They're actually ahead now of the Pittsburgh Steelers when it comes to trying to get the number 1 seed in the AFC to get a bye week. But they do want to still secure that because Pittsburgh does have an easy game, which we'll mention later. But they have really been disappointing in terms of the spread. They have been given big spreads, but their defense just gets really lackadaisical whenever they get a big lead. Then it's like, okay, we'll let them crawl back in a little bit, and it leads to them not covering, which really annoys me because I've been counting on them to cover for a while, and I'm gonna have to count on them again because I still think they are a better team than the Saints. They really did not play that well against the Eagles on both sides of the ball, and so and the spread is only 3, so I just think like it'd be ridiculous for them to not cover this one either, even though this will be a pretty good game. I'm going to go with Kansas City to win and cover.
Yeah, I agree. If the spread was bigger, I would probably pick New Orleans, but Kansas City's just too good. So Kansas City wins and covers.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is a push.
Clean sweep. I got Kansas City winning covering as well. So you have Cleveland at the Giants. Giants are getting 4.5 points. Cleveland is 9-4, and the Giants are 5-8.
So Baker Mayfield really earned a lot of respect from me last night. He played really well. He did everything that he could. He still had some mistakes every now and then, but that's what great quarterbacks got to do. They have to overcome adversity, and that's what he did. It still wasn't enough, but I really don't feel like I could say that it was his fault for why they lost. He played really well, and a lot of credit. I think this can be a really good team for years to come. They just have to stay into next year. That's what I'm really curious about is how will they be next year? Will they improve from that, or will they just falter and then have to go into another rebuild? Because that's what happened with the Raiders in 2016. They were really good, and then after that they just fell apart. They just could not sustain it. So, what could this happen with Cleveland? But either way, Giants did disappoint me a bit last week. Their offense did nothing. Defense wasn't great either. And so they're going against a good Cleveland team who's on a roll. And so I'm going to have Cleveland win and cover.
Yeah, Cleveland looked really great Monday night. That was yesterday.
Yeah, it's such a good game.
Yeah. Um I I just have to go with them here, even though I'm still gonna go with the belief that they're not as good as they say, as their record says. But anyway, Cleveland wins and covers.
And clean sweep again. I got Cleveland.
All
Now,
right.
who's got a better defense, Giants or Baltimore?
I would say, I don't know. That's a really good question, but I'd probably go more towards Baltimore, mainly because of turnovers.
I mean, did they sack Mayfield at all yesterday?
I don't know, but they got an interception, I know, and they forced fumbles on their receivers, so that was a big deal.
Yeah, but the forced fumbles early that Cleveland got back.
Yeah.
So anyway, yeah, we all have Cleveland. The last game, Pittsburgh at Cincinnati. Cincinnati is getting 12.5 points. Pittsburgh 11-2. Cincinnati 2-10-1.
So you say last but not least, but this seems like last and least because this seems like an easy game to call right here. This looks like this can be a really boring game. Pittsburgh's offense has been really bad. They have a serious case of drops. They lead the league in that category. It's just really ridiculous how often they drop the ball. Their running game doesn't do much either. So it's a recipe for disaster, especially when the playoffs come in. You don't need to. This is not a good time to have these problems. And their defense is getting a bit hurt as well. And they allowed 23 points to the Buffalo Bills. I think it was 23. And but they will be going against Cincinnati, who is just awful in every way possible right now, especially with all the injuries, losing Joe Burrow and all that. So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh to win and cover this one. I just don't have faith in Cincinnati to try to make this close. They're just way too damaged and unproven right now to make any mark.
Yeah, Cincinnati's just bad. So Pittsburgh wins and covers.
Got the same thing. Last 3 games we did clean sweeps. I got Pittsburgh winning and covering.
All right. So that concludes our picks for the week. Hopefully, everything goes well for all of us. I hope I get back into a winning record against the spread, or at least closer. So
I hope you get farther myself. I need to get that gap.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed, and good night.
Good night.
Good night.